What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast of Video Game Show. I am one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno to you as well. How are you this fine day?
I'm doing all right.
Doing all right?
I'm hangy.
I know. I'm
tired.
a little hungry myself.
I want fries.
Ooh.
I mentioned fries earlier before we started recording, and now I can't stop thinking about it.
Still a thing we need to do, speaking of fries, slide aside our taste test
We
ranking.
gotta do that. We really gotta do that this year.
But that has to be a on-stream activity.
Is there, you know how there's arbitrary days for everything nowadays?
Oh, there's gotta be a French Fry
Yeah,
Day.
we gotta figure out when French Fry Day is. Okay, hold up. Pause, everybody.
Pause
We're gonna find out when French Fry Day
right in the middle of
2024
everything,
is so that we
French
can put it on the
Fry
calendar.
Day. That's gotta be a thing.
Yeah,
if it's not,
be a thing. There's Pancake Day, there's Waffle Day, there's gotta be French Fry Day.
National French Fry Day is Friday, July 12th.
Oh, thank God we haven't missed it.
Perfect. You know what else is in July?
Your birthday.
Exactly.
Yeah, not
There we
America's
go.
birthday. Only Jerrett's
Who gives a shit
birthday
about that?
matters.
It's mine. But hey, you can hear us talk about video games and French fries here on this show, Team Chat Podcast, where we talk about games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. New episodes come out on Thursdays each and every week, except for the last week or week of the month where we do a stream night, Team Chat Plays, where we played on our most recent one, Tekken 8. You're going to hear a little bit more about that game in this episode. I have a feeling.
I got a feeling.
Got a little inkling about it. But you can find the show on podcast services around the World Wide Web, as well as a YouTube version of each episode. Check the description for links below for that. You can also join us on social media at Facebook, Threads, Instagram, and we have a Discord server where we have a lot of great conversation that you can join in on when we're not here recording the show. And finally, if you'd like to head over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, you can do that and support the show for as little as $1 a month. Just like Super Saiyan Ace, Erica L, Elise F, Zach S, Susan M, James K, Michael B, Andrew M, Brandon W, and Michael S have done. You can head over there, support the show, and get some cool stuff back, like early access to the show before its general Thursday release, access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery, and a lot of extra good stuff along the way. You can also support the show for free. I'm not going to let you slow me up this time. I'm going to take my sweet ass time.
It's slower.
A lot of great free ways you can support the show, such as writing reviews, telling your friends, and subscribing wherever you listen to or watch the show. And for that, we are grateful to each and every single one of our viewers, listeners, and patrons alike. Heart emojis.
Oh, thank God.
I'm not going to let you bully me through it this time. I'm not
No,
going to
I
let you
was
do
intentionally making a bunch of different faces because I was like, this is going to be hilarious when I screenshot all of these and then put them together later.
it. In a quick little triptych video.
Yeah, exactly.
Some little time lapse.
It'll be like one of those flip books.
Yeah. Going through all the motions.
Even though it's literally already a video. But you know, it's not the same.
All right. Well, we do have an update on our soundtrack spotlight. On last episode, a couple weeks ago, we gave the clue from our good friend Brandon W., which the clue was Norman Reedus and the Radar Fetus.
God, what a...
Take a wild guess as to what that game is. It was Death Stranding, correctly guessed by a fellow friend of the show, Kirok. So
Very
Kirok
nice.
will be supplying us with a soundtrack spotlight for a future episode.
And he guessed on the YouTube comments section, so we do check
We check
those.
everything. We are everywhere and at all places at all times watching everything. So we're just ready to get your guesses wherever we can get them. But you know what else we can get on this show is release dates and news and what's coming out soon.
Yeah.
In our moment with Mogan.
All right, let's do a quick little catch up from things that came out in the beginning of February. So, Boxes Lost Fragments is out for PC. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is out for PS5, PS4, and PC. Project Demigod is out for the Quest 2, the Quest 3, the Quest Pro, PC VR. Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash, actually incredibly fun to say. What a name. Is out now for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and One, and Switch, and PC. The whole gamut. A game that is unfortunately out when I think most people would agree that it shouldn't be. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is out for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. I think the general advice from the public would be maybe don't get it.
I've been seeing it's scoring a fives.
Yeah,
has been
very
the
middle of the road, which in this day and age is pretty not great.
I just feel like that game, again, it's not one that I'm going to play, so this may be a little speaking out of turn and stuff like that, just because it has nothing for me. But that one is another one of those cases where it's just feels like it just kind of got bungled all the way through.
Also, personally, I'll go even harsher. I feel like that was a game that never even needed to be made.
Well, especially after
who was if someone's gonna come in here and be like, excuse me,
it really did.
Who was champing at the bit for a Suicide Squad game? Come on.
Also, though, it's just kind of funny because like Marvel did the Avengers game from Square Enix. Same kind of thing. Like no, everybody was like, why? Why do we need this?
Why?
And even people who were excited for it were kind of like, this is not what it needs to be. So DC learned nothing from the cinematic universes. Remember when MCU came around and was like, had the big hits of Iron Man and all that stuff. And then DC was like, hey, guess what? We have superheroes too. And we can do the same thing. And everybody was like, no, sit the fuck back down.
No, thank you.
Why did they try it again?
I don't know. I don't know why they keep
They were like,
trying.
Avengers failed. Suicide Squad is going to win.
I don't get it either.
It was weird. Weird times.
Eventually, the video game and film industries are going to pick up on the fact that people are like, #tired of it.
Yeah.
We are just tired of it, fam. We're done with that.
A little bit.
Anyways, in other series that won't die, but people like this one, so it's not as bad. Persona 3 Reload is out for PS5 and 4, Xbox Series X and S and 1 and PC. Just Clem is out for PC and Switch.
Clem sounds like a good guy.
Yeah, sounds like a nice guy. Toho Danmaku Dagara Fantasia Lost. Jesus Christ.
Well done on that one.
Is out for PC. Helldivers 2 is out for PS5 and PC. Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, Love for These Clothes of Desire is out for PC, PS4, and Switch. Sure, Konosuba, whatever. And then a game we actually care about, at least you and I do, Banishers.
Yes.
Ghosts of New Eden is coming out for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on February 13th. So now we're finally getting into the games that are coming out in the future, not that are out now.
Not already out now.
Lisfanga, the Time Shift Warriors, coming out for PC on the 13th as well. So is Ultros, or Ultros, for PS5 and 4 and PC. Solemn Infernum is coming out for PC as well on the 14th. Sucker for Love, Date to Die For is coming out on Valentine's Day, which is hilarious. That's good marketing.
That is.
Someone really thought that one out. I appreciate that. And then another confusingly potentially romantic and tragic game, Titanic, A Space Between. Right? Titanic, A Space Between is out for the Quest on the 14th. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remastered is coming out for basically everything under the sun on the 14th. And then very shortly after that is Gunvolt Records Chronicle. Chronicle. Gunvolt Records Chronicle for everything under the sun on the 15th. And that is everything out now and coming soon.
Very cool. I did want to take a quick minute before we jumped into our main topic of the day. Since you mentioned off Banishers Ghosts of New Eden coming out, they released a new story trailer for that game and then also like a gameplay breakdown of it. Each one about 5 minutes long.
Which you put in the Discord, but I was actually # at my job today, which sucks, I know, right? But that means I couldn't just freely watch all the videos I usually do. So I'm out of the loop on this, but fill me in.
Okay, so I'm not going to go through because this one really does break down everything about it. But it has got me even more hooked than I was from the first few trailers we saw. I am very excited for this game. It sucks it came out so close right after Tekken 8 because I don't know if it'll be able to be a day one purchase, but it'll be a very soon after purchase if it's not. Because this looks like I know it's trailers. I know there's a hype machine that I got. We've been burned before.
But I feel like no one other than maybe you and I is out here hyped for Banishers Ghosts of New Eden.
But I
think
am.
It's just
and
us.
especially after this, because here's why. It looks like a marriage of God of War's combat with the RPG elements and story choice driven modes of, or not mode, but model of Vampire.
Which I'm not up to date on the latest God of War games at all, so I don't really know.
Just that third person over the shoulder
yes, I
combat
know that it's very
more
seamless, very dynamic, that kind of thing.
Which I guess Vampire was too, but I think even more so, I feel like the view when you're fighting in Vampire is more from a higher up, top down kind of look.
It was
this
a little
is
more
literally third person over the shoulder kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it looks and it kind of has the feel. Plus, you're fighting monsters that look God of War-esque. Because the whole story, and this is laid out in the trailers and everything, so not necessarily spoiler content, but the main characters, Red and I'm blanking on her name.
Blue.
Sure. They're both banishers who are have these people who have the ability to either damn or save souls, basically.
They're kind of exorcists.
Kind of, in a way, yeah. Well, in one of those one of those moments where they're doing this, Red's partner, I think her name was Era or not Atreus, but like a Terra. Her name starts with A.
Trevor rides again.
She is killed and becomes like a ghost. So it's kind of this thing of the whole game is like you are able to work with her still, and like she'll aid you in combat, but it's like you're trying to free her from death, or potentially, depending on how you play the game, she stays dead and you wind up saving this village that you're trying to cleanse.
Ooh, one of those gut-wrenching choices.
Well, that's what I mean, but that's how Vampire was. Yeah. You had to either feed yourself as a vampire, which had detrimental effects. So this game does the same thing where it's like if you choose to like banish or punish souls in this village, it has a detrimental effect on the outcome of the village.
God, and I feel like we're going to fuck it up so bad by accident.
I think so.
Yeah.
But like, so it really has become a thing of each person you kill, save, banish, whatever, will have an effect on the end game of the story. So it's like
awesome.
which was like a big thing about Vampire that made that so cool. So after watching that, it gives a full breakdown in that gameplay video of like kind of what you can expect. But I was like watching the story trailer and I was like, yeah, that looks cool. And then it got to that in the gameplay video and it literally said like the choices you make will, and I was like, I'm fucking in. This is Vampire again, and I'm here for it. So Banishes Ghost of Eden looks great.
That's really good to know because now I know that so I'll probably start playing it before you because that's going to be my game budget for the month. So we'll probably play it pseudo in tandem. You'll probably catch up to me, but that means that we can't
you're probably
talk
gonna buy it,
about
and then I'll have FOMO and then be like, all right,
I'll be like, dude, it's so good, and we'll be the only two people on planet Earth playing it.
Well,
so we'll
make all the Twitch money then. Let us have it. Don't nod. We'll
that
take
means
your
that
money.
we need to not share notes on what we do until the very end, so that we can compare.
Have one of those good old fun reviews. But anyway, so that looks super fun and everything like that. So just wanted to call that out before we got into it. But
that's the future.
That's
and we're
the future.
still here in the present.
And what in the present do we want to talk about today?
Tekken fucking 8.
Fucking 8.
Yeah.
We have played. I know you were playing story mode today. Did you get a chance to finish her up?
I'm not finished in story mode, but you can tell me how close I am.
You were, I think okay, go ahead. I saw your chats, but I think. I
just finished the
Slight spoiler.
Okay,
wait a minute. We'll get to this.
Yeah,
we'll get to story mode in a little bit. We won't jump right into the spoilers right off the bat.
But you think based on my chats, it sounded like
you're
fuck.
Close.
If I had just gone a little bit harder,
I think
if I had just switched it to easy mode, like everyone told me to.
Medium hard?
Hard mode.
Okay, yeah.
I've been on hard mode the whole time, except for something that we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay, cool. So, Tekken 8 just released on January 26th. We have been long awaiting its arrival here at Team Chat because it is also the inaugural start of the Team Chat Fight Club, which has been
going strong.
Off.
Yeah.
We had a good stream last week where we did some gameplay. Mogan and I squared off, then we squared off with a couple viewers as well. It was a lot of fun. Great time had all the way around. And it has been a wonderful addition to my collection of fighting games.
And
so
for
far
you,
this year.
your first Tekken game.
My first Tekken game.
Yeah.
And let me just go ahead and say, in case anyone is wondering, that shit is bonkers.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts about the characters and the story because I'm a little bit more up to date on Tekken lore than you are.
Yeah.
But even for me, like as of Tekken 5, like basically Tekken 5, 6, and to a certain extent 7, I really just blank slated all the story stuff. I was like, I don't care what's happening here. I know that these fathers and these sons will never get along, and that's as much as I need to know.
Yeah.
So there are a bunch of new characters, and even ones from 7, that like I'm actually paying attention now and trying to pick up what the fuck is going on with their individual stories and how they intersect with each other, and I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah. It's a little crazy. So I think as best as I can do it, we're not going to jump into story stuff yet. We'll talk about mechanics, gameplay, things we like, things we don't like as we go. Then we'll jump into like actual story territory. But for a brief quasi synopsis, I think of what's happening from what I was able to pick up on, because other than outside of Tekken 8, I know nothing.
What a time to jump in.
I watched the Brian Cox recap video of story so far.
Which really glazed over a lot of stuff.
It was a lot of stuff and everything. But basically where we're at, father-son Jin Kazama,
yep.
And Kazuya. That's the dad. I don't remember his first name.
Kazuya Mishima.
Yeah. Kazuya is his first name. Yes. They're at war with each other.
Oh, yes, they are.
Kazuya and Jin both have devil abilities.
They have something called the devil gene. So it is quite literally in their blood that they have these demonic devil-given powers.
And so what I can pick up from is that at the end of 7, Kazuya is on top.
Yes.
He is the leader of the G Corporation,
Yep.
which I think is a hilarious name for an evil magnate. Just G
Just
Corp.
G Corp. Could be anything. What's the G stand for? Well, we don't know.
And seems to be on a quest to like contain the full power of evil to dominate Earth.
Yes.
Is that a good enough like
Yeah, honestly, it
quasi?
probably is.
And so then to like take, I think it's like then to like really put across his dominance, he starts like tournament of the Fist?
The King of Iron Fist
tournament.
Yes.
And that's where all the other fighters kind of like come into play.
So the actual story mode, and this is really kind of the first time they've done it this way, is pretty much exactly like you described. Kazuya and Jin are literally fighting it out to the death for dominance, but Jin is sort of doing it for good reasons.
Right.
He's like, I gotta stop my super evil dad to maybe save the world, ? And Kazuya's like, I have to kill my son.
Because he sucks.
Because I hate that kid and I want to rule the world. But what he's actually doing is in the King of Iron Fist tournament, he's having, because all the different characters in Tekken hail from different countries. That's sort of one of the things about them. Every now and then, a couple of them will have some overlap, like Law and Paul. I think they're both from the US. But for the most part, everybody's more or less from different nationalities. So in the King of Iron Fist tournament, in the context of the game, they are fighting on behalf of their country for like a global hierarchy. So every time you battle it out and you win for your country, you move your country up a spot in this global hierarchy.
If you lose, G Corp like slaps you with sanctions.
G Corp slaps you with sanctions. They're gonna bomb the shit out of your country. And basically Kazuya is just, it's the most hashtag basic ass villain shit you've ever heard of.
Oh, for sure.
It is like the most surface level, I just want to dominate the world. Why? I'm evil.
Because it's there.
Because I want to, and I have I can turn purple, and
I have a
and
third
grow bat
eye.
wings, and I have a third eye, and I'll do what I want. Really, that's kind of all you need to know.
Honestly, it really is. So outside of the story elements, the story side of the game, there's also character episodes.
Yes, character episodes.
For all 32 fighters.
Yes.
Which I did play Shaheen's
nice.
the other day, and it really is just like a brief intro. You fight 5 rounds, and then it's over. So they're relatively quick.
But they're really there to give you, so the purpose of character episodes, I really think, is to give you a reason to explore all of the different characters, because everyone has a very different fighting style, even ones that are similar, like Kazuya and Jin. They both practice, more or less Mishima style martial arts, but they're very different because Jin also learned from his mom, Jun Kazama. So he's very different. But it's both to get you to play all of the characters and to give all of the characters a little bit more time to get their personalities through.
Yeah, because you don't see that much in the story.
Idea. No, I mean, you get little glimpses here and there, but like especially when it comes to characters' backstories and sort of how they have relationships with other characters, like Lily and Leroy are a great example of that. They interact in story mode, but it wasn't until I played Lily's character episodes that I was like, oh, her and Leroy are like low-key besties. Okay, I got it. So it gives you a lot more insight into, well, not a lot more, but it gives you more insight into the individual characters, which is really nice.
Very cool.
Bro Mogan claims it will make us like Dragunov.
Really?
I find that hard to believe.
I don't buy it.
I guess creepy.
I don't buy it.
Mads Mikkelsen.
He looks like he needs like Mads Mikkelsen's character in Casino Royale that has like he's constantly have the teary eye.
Oh yeah.
I feel like Dragunov needs that. Needs that little touch, little
Maybe
thing.
somebody's found a way to mod that in.
Oh, that'd be funny.
That'd be really funny.
No ill will towards our boy Mads Mikkelsen. No. He's
Just
amazing.
Dragunov.
Just Dragunov. And so there's outside of that. Is there any other like story based stuff or more like because then it's like there's offline modes where you can do like couch fights, couch co-op versus mode. You can play against the computer. There's practice mode. There's also Tekken Ball, which we played a little bit of on our stream the other night. We're not great at it.
No, we're so bad.
But it's basically like volleyball, but deadly.
Yeah. Or at least it's supposed to be deadly. Mostly it's just both of us whiffing at the ball and then one of us eventually dies.
Just like by pure happenstance. It made no sense.
Whenever one of us actually makes contact and the ball does damage, it was not intentional. It was an accident.
Yeah. It's a crazy mode. It's a weird mode. Not one that I was expecting necessarily to be in a fighting game, but I know like Tekken obviously has like the bowling and tag and stuff like that. So it's crazy to see, but it's a
ball mode, I think
They have bowling.
came
Or am I thinking of
around.
that?
Oh no, they have both.
Okay.
But Tekken ball mode, I think dates back to Tekken 3. I
Oh,
think
okay,
that
wow.
may have been the first
So it's
time
been
Tekken.
around for a while.
Yeah, Tekken, because I remember in Tekken 3 with the character Gon, which is just a little dinosaur that they borrowed from a different franchise. He's like a lamer Yoshi. I just vividly remember always playing as Gon in Tekken ball mode, and I think that was in 3.
Oh, very cool. So that's neat that it's been around for a little bit. But yeah, having come off of Mortal Kombat, jumping to Tekken, there were some weird things I was like, this is bizarre. But
To say the least, of the way that the game actually works, the mechanics, because that's got to be wildly different.
Much different. I did the other day load Mortal Kombat back up because I'm like, I got to make sure I don't lose my skills here, because I still did really well and everything. But then the next day went back to Tekken and was like, okay, so it's not this, because it's just like I don't know. It just there is more fighter variety. Like I think it's interesting in the terms of like how the characters actually handle, whereas like Mortal Kombat, you can have your basics, you know your basic combos, and those kind of like somewhat travel over to each person. But I feel like in Tekken, there is like the big example I can think of is Steve is a boxer character. So he has like no kicking abilities.
Almost none.
His X and circle, because we're playing on PlayStation. Those are purely dodge moves. They can be combined with a punch and stuff like that. Like he does this crazy backbend and then like with an uppercut. But like it's so weird to like be moving around with characters that have kicks, because I have been maining Shaheen, and
he's very kick focused.
But he's also like does good punches as well. So he's kind of like a very like overall mixed character, but in his fighting style. But yeah, then you move to Steve and you're like, my kicks do nothing.
I can't kick.
And you have to like learn and adapt to that. And so I feel like that's a pretty fun way to go about it. I like that they're not like cut paste, just like here's a fighting game 1, here's fighting game B. They have their own personalities and things to them. So I really appreciated that about Tekken. Who have you been maining?
Lily, obviously.
Very nice,
the
very nice.
waifu of my laifu. She's the anime lovers will know the term. She's no Jo-sama, which is I think the direct translation is like a rich little miss. And I have always thought that Lily was from France. She's actually from Monaco.
How wrong you were.
I have been misnationalizing her this entire time. So she's from Monaco. She has super long blonde hair, and she dresses in frilly little like Victorian inspired pink outfits all the time. And her rival of like they're not unfriendly rivals at this point, but they used to be. Her rival Asuka, whenever they get into battle together, they always have these really funny exchanges. But she also has a cat named Salt, who's a cute little Siamese. And Salt you can't fight with Salt as far as I can tell, but it's just probably for
That'd
the
be
best.
awesome if like Salt jumped from off screen, just like clawed your opponent's face.
So in Tekken 7, there was a character, Kasumi, who could summon a tiger in battle.
Oh, shit.
And the tiger was actually pretty, like it was a big part of her moveset, was summoning the tiger. So I was like, why can't they do that for Salt?
Well, because they do have that with Leroy, his dog, Sugar.
Sugar, yeah.
Runs out and can do an attack, which was
Salt
the way.
doesn't do that.
Yeah, but it was pretty cool that Sugar can.
Yeah, but so I've been maining Lily. I've also been attempting to get better at Azucena. She's one of the newer
I've been
characters.
playing Azucena too.
Lily's been around for a little while. Azucena's brand new. And then because of story mode, I've been at least unwillingly learning Lars, but that's not really by choice.
Yeah, Lars isn't my
I gotta
favorite.
say though, now that I've been practicing with him, I'm like, okay, this character's kind of fun. I'm like grudgingly warming up to Lars.
But his hairstyle is so ridiculous.
He's so stupid. Not just his hair, his personality, his outfits.
Yeah.
He is so much. I mean, to call him, he's a perfect blend of both a Final Fantasy and Super Saiyan reject.
Oh, for sure.
Like he applied to both jobs and did not get either.
And fell to Tekken instead. But so we've got all those different modes for single player. Then there's your online modes, which there is the really cool, I think, the Battle Lounge, system that Tekken has, where different servers that you can go to, but it's kind of like what I can attribute it to. It's like a hub world, basically. I attribute it kind of to like the Splatoon.
Oh yeah, the plaza.
The plaza in Splatoon, where you like run around, you see other players running around with little avatars that you make. Mine looks like a professor.
You made yours look like a sexy professor. It's hilarious.
It's what it is. I don't know. I can't make a joke there, but anyway, it's just what I did. I don't know. All the other ones look dumb, and I was like, ooh, look at this cool tweed jacket, and then it's just, then all of a sudden I'm just like, I'm a professor now.
The avatar customization options were not great. I will say that they were very sparse.
But I love that it's like this little hub. You can run around and meet and engage with other players who are also online running around their avatars. And then you go to like basically an arcade and sit down at a machine, and that's how you start playing in online matches.
Yeah.
I just think that's a cool little touch. It could have, you do obviously have ways to like set up like a quick match and invite friends. A little convoluted in how to do it.
Oh my God,
and
Jerrett and I struggled so hard.
If you're going to be playing cross-platform and this is a tip for everyone. If you're going to be playing cross-platform with people, you have to go to the battle lounge and be in the same lounge to meet a person, and then you can send them a friend request. Why Tekken gives you a Tekken name and then a Tekken ID that's like 15 characters long
we haven't been able to figure out yet.
That you cannot put in somewhere to search for a player makes no sense to me. But that's how it is. But that's how you do it.
Another quick tip for online mode. So if you're on PS5 at least, and somebody sends you an invite to play on to like join their private room, that invite does not go to your PS5 notifications. It goes to the in-game Tekken 8 notifications. So you have to go to the home screen or whichever screen you're able to get to it from. Go to the community button at the bottom, and then it should show you like a little exclamation point next to the notifications button.
Yeah.
So then you go to notifications in the game, and then you can accept the invite. It took me and Brandon for fucking ever to figure out where are they going? We don't know.
It's bizarre. That is the one thing I will say. Like a few like UI like interface choices that I'm like,
specifically
could
for
be better.
Online, there were some things that really I was just like, this did not have to be this hard.
Even like how the steps you have to go to just make like it is really cool. I like that you can have for doing online matches. You can basically make like a room similar to like Super Smash Bros. And stuff like that, where you
can customize it
and you can customize it, but still like the steps it takes to like just do a quick match with a friend takes a little bit.
It's
setting up one of these rooms takes a little bit, but then it is really cool how quickly you can easily just bounce in and out of who you're fighting. It comes with an auto spectate mode, which is really nice. And then except though it doesn't seem to auto spectate if it's a rematch after a fight.
Which I wonder if that's something they're going to patch later. Like maybe that was a whoopsies.
I would hope so. Yeah. Because like that would be just nice because if the two fighters who are up right now replay, it kicks everybody else out back to the menu, but they're still fighting a match and you don't get to see it.
I also vaguely wonder if, because we're both on PlayStation, I wonder if that's actually a PlayStation only problem. Like if PC players have the same issue.
I don't know.
Wait, but Cody's on PC.
Yeah.
And we were playing crossplay, and I think he also got kicked, so it must be.
I'm not really sure, but it's still another thing that I was kind of like, could be better. But still, the interface for being able to do it, once it's set up and running, very smooth and very easy to like be able to do tournaments and stuff like that. There also is practice mode. Obviously, you can learn all the ins and outs. There's combo challenges for all the characters, which I haven't even touched yet because Jesus Christ, I can't even do combos.
No, here's the thing. I actually really wanted to talk about this because we've talked before, if you've seen other episodes, but not this one, that both of us have played fighting games before, but at least for me, I have never really made true effort to try and actually learn the characters beyond button mashing.
Same. That's my new resolution for this year is to get into fighting games to figure this stuff out.
We're both trying to actually get good, as it were. As children tell you in Minecraft, we're trying to get good. And because of that, I've been spending loads of time in practice mode. And in the past games, never. I mean, maybe I would go in there a little teeny tiny bit, but it would just be to kind of mess around with the controls and just get a vague sense of what will happen when I mash the buttons.
Sure.
What do my grabs do? That kind of thing. But this time, so if I'm saying things that sound revolutionary to me, but other people are like, they had all those features in Tekken 7. It's because, bitch, I didn't know they had those features in Tekken 7. So this is fucking news to me.
Yeah.
But Tekken 8's practice mode is very well fleshed out.
Okay, that's good.
I actually had to watch a whole video. I think it's pinned in the Team Chat Discord channel for the Fight Club. A whole video about using practice mode effectively because there's so many settings you can mess around with. And it seems really overwhelming at first what does what, but there's a ton of control that you can do. Like, are you positioning yourself as being on the offense, or are you wanting to play it from a more defensive position and work on your defense?
Ooh, I need to play around with the practice mode more
Yes,
then.
you do.
Okay.
And that's something else that people were talking in the Discord just earlier today today is getting better at grab breaks.
Yes.
And somebody mentioned, it was maybe Mogan, he was like, oh, that might be a setting you can do in practice mode. You can auto set your AI opponent to just practice grabs on you so that you can practice getting back out of them.
That's cool, because
Yeah.
I need to set that up and practice it where I'm fighting where the CPU will either like kick me up into the air
Yeah, how
or
do you get
smack
out
me
of
onto
that?
the ground, because that is what is killing me right
Yeah.
now. If I get into get hit and like I'm thrown into the air or thrown onto the ground and stuff like that, and people are able to just get combo after hit after hit after
Yeah.
hit, I just can't do anything.
I struggle on the ground a lot too, and I really need to get into practice mode to practice specifically my get-ups,
Yeah.
because my get-up game is not there, and
Yeah.
it needs to be.
Same.
That's what's killing me against Devil Kazuya. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So practice mode has 10,000 different things that you can do, both with your character and with the AI character that you set up for them. They can be really offensive, or they can just be on the defense, so that you can figure out, okay, is this series of moves that I'm doing as a short combo, is that actually a true combo? Or is this the kind of thing where I do 2 inputs and then the enemy character actually does have enough frames to go into a guard? So it's
Yeah.
not actually a true combo. And that's not really stuff that I've ever remembered engaging with in past practice modes.
Which I will say, I'm not clear or don't remember necessarily if Mortal Kombat does the like minutia down to frames, but that is like one of the things about Tekken. Like I will say that Tekken, like both games have learning curves for sure, but Tekken's is big.
Tekken's a big learning
And
curve.
it's so like there's getting it down to like, yeah, calculating frames and like being able to recognize frame like that's a small smidgen of time.
But so something that practice mode did that blew my mind, and I feel like this can't have been in past games, but maybe it was, I don't know. In practice mode, there's like a little corner menu that will just tell you sort of some basic stuff about the moves that you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those is it will show you the frame advantage or disadvantage of the move that you just did. So if I do one of Lily's really good low kicks, which are really fast, it'll tell you how much frame advantage she has there. Whereas if you do a really slow move that has tons of time to counter, it'll be like, ooh, that's like a -10 frame disadvantage.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, that's really good to know.
That is good to
because
know.
even though I'm never going to be the kind of player that's down to the frame good,
Right.
I can at least get a pulse check on, okay, frame advantage question mark? Yes,
At least
no.
helps you like categorize in your mind what move can I do
Yes.
here, which is what, again, speaking to like the timing of everything and getting it down, is stuff that I feel like is my game is personally lacking at the moment.
And so to circle all this back around to the combo challenges, which you mentioned, each character has a set of combo challenges that you can do in practice mode, starting from very basic ones that have a lot to do with the heat system and the heat
Oh
activation
yeah, we didn't even
system.
talk about that yet.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet, the new stuff. So the most basic of the combos that you can do, progressively getting harder and harder, which are so helpful for 2 reasons. One, you can do the demos, so you can pick a combo challenge and then have it play the demo, which will show you both the flow of how the combo is supposed to go for the character, and on the side, when the inputs were put in, when the inputs were input. It's a fancy way to say that, which is so helpful for trying to get better at the timing piece of it.
Sure.
Because yeah, I can look at the string of buttons, but I'm like, okay, but how do I put them in right? How do I make sure that I'm actually doing these at the right time? So in the demo mode, it'll actually show you, okay, da-da-da. And
Oh,
it's
that's
like,
nice. That's kind of like Mortal Kombat, like
Yes,
having the demo
exactly.
video showing you the timing and everything. To get it down
Correct.
right.
So it'll do that. And then more importantly, the combo challenges I've learned are extremely good for teaching you how to lay the groundwork for a bunch of other shit that your character can do.
That's cool.
Like any character that you're trying to figure out, okay, which of their moves activates heat? Which of their moves is a launcher? So
Right.
anytime you're trying to get somebody into the air, that's called a launcher. Which of these moves can hit on the ground? Which of them can juggle in the air for an
Sure.
air combo? That is the true super useful thing of the combo challenges, is that it teaches you the basic flow. Like, okay, well, you're Lily, so you need to do down forward triangle because that's your launcher, and then a bunch of other combo options can go from there. Or you can do, back forward? Yeah, down forward. Left forward, down back. There we go. I was
Yeah.
trying to what would be the opposite of down forward? You can do down back circle, which is a low launcher that gets you a whole different set of combos. So they are a little bit difficult further on. For most characters, I have been able to get to at least combos 1 through 5, maybe 6 for Lily, and they're just such a good way to get a good groundwork for, okay, if I want to do some basic moves and some pretty basic combos for this character, that's where you go to learn those.
Okay, then I need to start. I do need to start doing those.
Don't be sleeping on the combo challenges.
Because I will say, like, I tend in these fighting games to immediately want to jump into either, playing couch fights with someone, or like jumping into the online modes, because I somewhat run into, like, I'll be doing really good in the training mode and be like, oh man, I'm on fire, I'm ready to go. Then I move into online and get stomped. So it's like I kind of feel like I want that more like real world training, but also if I'm still missing a lot of core mechanics who will help at my gameplay, I need to go and like check that stuff out.
And a lot of that again is stuff that you can work into the features in practice mode. Like, for example, true combo versus fake combo.
Sure.
Can somebody just guard out of this? Like, is it actually going to go through? That's the kind of stuff that practice mode is really good for in this game. So it's extremely useful. I would say I've spent more total playtime where I'm at right now probably in practice mode than out of it.
Nice.
I've spent a lot of time in there just trying to be like, I swear I
kick
can
my
learn the
ass the next time we
combos.
play.
Probably not.
Are you? I don't know. You did really good. You were kicking my ass on the stream night the other
My
night.
Lars is turning out pretty good.
No.
You're gonna be like, oh fuck. Lars is annoying.
So we talked about it a little bit in that. Then what's the heat system? So this is the new thing that it's new to Tekken 8, right?
Yeah, it's new to Tekken 8, and
the two
honestly,
new styles. I guess,
there's two new styles, one of which is much more annoying. But heat is sort of the core. It's the core mechanic of Tekken 8 that defines the combat. The idea behind the heat system, and Harada, the director of the Tekken series, I think mentioned in an interview a long time ago, back when they were first announcing Tekken 8 and the heat system, he was basically explaining like the purpose of the heat system is to speed up the game, to basically take it from very defensive Tekken to really incentivize, no, don't go on the defensive, go on the offense.
Well, I have
noticed
noticed
this new system to do that.
I have noticed the games are very fast.
Oh, they're fast. Yeah.
Like a match, a 3 rounds match, and it's not like best of 3. It's like you have to win 3 times.
Yes.
But it still goes so fast.
Oh, there's
where I feel like you can play a whole match with someone in the time it takes to play a round of like Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Not really that slow. That's a little exaggerated, but like still, Mortal Kombat matches feel longer than a Tekken match.
Yeah. And I think that at least in terms of feeling in
it could
Tekken,
also be my skill.
It could be, but probably not, because even though I think matches by default have maybe a 60-second timer on them.
Yeah.
I want to say it's either 60 or maybe 75 seconds
sure
timer
it's
on
60.
them. It is quite rare for me that we ever get to below 10 seconds in an encounter. Like, I'm either going to die really fast or I'm going to win really fast. Yeah. And it's not common that I like get down to 10 seconds and I'm like, oh, fuck. I
got to really do something now.
really do something now. So, yeah, it's a very fast-paced game. So the heat system is activated by either doing any character's like heat activation move. Each of them has a slightly unique, well, not super unique. Some of them have heat activation moves in common. But whatever their heat activation move is, or you can just hit R1. You can do easy mode or you can do hard mode. It doesn't really matter. So when you activate your heat mode, it basically like gives your character this fancy aura, and they do the start of a move that can potentially go into a combo that can be really devastating with the heat power. Because what heat does is it kind of like gives you super juice for a limited amount of time in the match where you can actually do chip damage.
Yeah.
So that's the important part, is that even if you're guarding, if your opponent has their heat activated and they're still landing blows, I mean, not really landing them because you're guarding against them, but they're making physical contact with you, you're going to take chip damage.
Yeah.
So if it's down to the wire and somebody activates their heat, you can't just guard your way out of that. You're going to have to find another way to deal with them and break through their defenses before they kill you with chip damage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other stuff that we could probably say about heat, none of which I can say eloquently. That's the basic gist.
Good enough,
Yeah,
because
good enough.
We're still all, I think, trying. The general consensus.
We're still learning.
Yeah, the general consensus in the channel on our Discord is like, the fuck?
Yeah.
with heat.
There's a lot of different movesets and combos that are heat specific as well. So again, that's what the combo challenges are for, is they can kind of teach you like, hey, now that you've activated heat, do these other strings of moves so that you know what to do with it. The thing that is killing me right now, just because I cannot figure out how to optimize on it, is when you get a running start heat activation. You know, you've probably done
yeah.
these.
Shaheen is back square.
Yes.
And if it lands, it starts the heat rush, I think.
Yeah, basically it's a big thing where you pow the enemy forward, and then your character will automatically take a big running start in heat mode, and then you close the distance. And at the end of that closing of the distance, you are surely supposed to somehow capitalize on that momentum, but I can fucking not figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I'm still learning that too. I have figured out Shaheen has a very, I like Shaheen and Jin are...
That cracks me up that you like Jin.
I don't really. I've pretty much only used
Is it from
Jin
story mode?
in story mode, yes. This is coming from story mode. But Shin and Shaheen have like a complete, just disrespectful move that they pull off if you can do it right after like a heat rush like that. Jin's is it might be if he's able to just knock anybody on the ground and like at their distance and you like run up on them. He just runs over them.
Oh yeah,
and like
that's
steps
actually,
on their face.
That's not Jin specific.
Okay, that's not Jin specific.
No, that's just a Tekken thing. Characters can do
so that's
that.
a Tekken thing. So it's Shaheen then who just takes it to the next level, where you can do your heat rush. He rushes at them, and then when he gets to them, he like jump. It's like down X, I want to say. And he like stomps on them and then kicks them away. No, that's his rage ability.
Okay, gotcha.
But that's like the last ditch, like, oh shit, I got to try to save this match really quick move. Where yeah, he'll like windsurf on him. No, he straight up like runs up on him, steps on him, turns them around, and then kicks them away the other way.
That is Shaheen specific. I don't think I've ever seen another character do that.
It's very cool whenever I can get it to pull off.
Funny.
It's fun, but it feels just so disrespectful to the enemy.
It feels so good, but so bad.
So bad. So that's heat mode. And then, yeah, the rage thing is like literally if you get within like, I think it's like half of your final bar of health, the rage.
Oh, not half. I think it's a quarter.
Oh, a quarter? Okay.
Or even possibly a little bit less than that.
It'll activate the ability to do a rage attack, which is like a very special super move that will do a shitload of damage.
It has a little cutscene, all that kind of deal.
But very easy. Well, not.
It's lot of them are easy to block.
It's kind of easy to block.
And
then it usually
know
has
when a rage art is coming. So you're like automatically on the
ready
defensive.
for it. And then plus, and if it misses, it's so easily punishable. It's round over at that point.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to be a little careful with that. The other new thing to Tekken 8, the new, it's a style, it's called Special Style, which is basically like combos on easy. It like activates special mode where it's like...
It's the gutters in bowling.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. Where it's like you can do air combos by like hitting triangle 4 times.
Yes.
You can do low combos by hitting X a couple times. And it makes it easier where it's like if you're really here to just be like, I'm here to have a good time, not feel like I'm getting my ass kicked, then run Special Style.
It is, for lack of a better word, easy mode.
Yes. You know, I haven't really messed with it as much, and it's been a topic of conversation over on our Discord because it's kind of like in online, people have been talking about running into Special Style spammers who are just like only using Special Style and everything like that. The what I've run into though is I was fighting an opponent in online, really good match. Then it was obvious I was going to win, and he turned on Special Style. That's kind of annoying.
It's the cop out
because it can be easily turned on, turned off in a match just by hitting your left bumper.
Live, you can do it at any time.
Yeah, it's not like you have to have it preset,
restriction.
which
I feel like you shouldn't be able to do that. I'm going to come down hard on one side of the fence and say that I think that when you're going into online matches, you should have to declare in advance if you're using Special Style.
Yes, I think so too.
I don't think you should have to I don't think you should be able to toggle it on and off in battle.
I think it's like I understand why it's there because, as we've said, Tekken has a very big learning curve,
and not everybody is there to, as we say, get good, and that's perfectly
perfectly fine.
That's the kind of players we've been our whole lives. We get it.
But I do think it does like. I think it should be like a special bracket or like some kind of option you can toggle on or off that like either says like don't put me up against people using Special Style or like turns it off completely when you're going into an online mode because it is just like it's not like it's a free pass for win, but like especially like what in the situation where I was talking about where it's like it was a really good fight and then like this guy, to be fair, had been kicking my ass without it, and so like without using Special Style. But then we got into a match and I was about to win and he turned it on and then kicked it. And it's just like, and I'm just like, oh, that's such a cheap move.
It just feels so bad.
It feels cheap. So like, I will say that is one thing that like, I understand why it's there. I don't necessarily agree with it in practice.
The other thing about special style that was, I accidentally activated special style in practice mode. And I had, when you start up the game, it will ask you as one of the presettings, like, do you want to turn on special style?
Yeah.
And I said, no, because I was like, I don't know what that is. Definitely not. So then I got into practice mode and I accidentally hit L1 and it turned special style on. But I didn't know what that was. Yeah. So I didn't recognize the little menu at the side that like gave me the special style moves. So I'm in there trying to do combo challenges and I'm like, why isn't it working?
Nothing's working.
Because special style has a limited move set for every character, which is to say that if you're using special style, you do not have, I mean, you literally can't use all of the different moves and movesets available to any character, which means that if you are fighting against someone using special style, it is very repetitive.
Yeah.
And that's what annoys me.
Yes.
It's like they will just spam the same move over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it's all they can do
right.
until they can find a way to get a launcher or get something through your defenses to then go into the rest of their cheap air combos.
Which honestly, and I feel like Brandon was the one who said this in our Discord earlier today even, was saying like, I mean, the eventual point is that you get good enough that it doesn't matter that if your opponent is using a special style or not.
There's definitely ways that you can get around it.
You know, it's counterable. It's not like an end all be all like, oh shit, they're using special style, I lost. But at this point in the game, it is. Yeah. And at this point in the game, when we're all trying to learn it and get better at it, yes, eventually we will be able to learn how to counter it. But right now, it's frustrating.
I had a really good learning experience, specifically against a Leroy spamming special style, because I was like, okay, I feel like this has been going on long enough that I am starting to learn what moves Leroy spams in special style. And then it did really become a lot easier to counter them because it's like, okay, I just have to wait, bam, bam, and then counter that with a punish.
Agree. That is a good learning curve, but there are 31 other fighters.
Yes, which is to say that it's like, oh my
keeping up with all their special style spam is hard.
And that's just the characters that are on the roster right now.
Exactly.
There will be DLC. They did DLC for Tekken 7 for years afterwards. Time. That roster was, I mean, it's already a big roster, and it's just going to get bigger. Yeah. Eddie's coming back any day now, guys. I really hope they bring back the Prime Minister of Poland.
That's hilarious.
Really? Yeah. It's not the real Prime Minister of Poland. She's like obviously a fictional character, but I never had the DLC for Tekken 7, any of them.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any of the characters that I thought were really cool, like Leroy, for example, and whoever the Prime Minister of Poland's name is.
That's hilarious.
But she looked so cool, and I was like, God, next time. So this is going to be the time that I'm going to get all those DLC characters.
Yeah, I'll also see who comes out on that and try it out. I am bummed. I know it's just because I'm late to the game, but like I know I'm bummed that Heihachi's not in it. Because
oh yeah,
I know him. He's like the one Tekken guy I knew.
He's the face of Tekken. Exactly. I mean, not including Jin and Kazuya. Because is that a good segue into story?
I was going to ask. Do we need to go into any more story?
No.
Anything else? Or are we ready to talk about some story?
So the one thing that I want to say.
So spoilers. Yes. Just throwing it out there. We're into story. We're going to be talking some spoilies.
The one thing that I want to say about the combat of Tekken, because we never actually mentioned it. X and circle are kicks. They are mapped to one leg each. X is, I think, your left leg. Circle is your right leg or something like that. It's the same for square and triangle. They are one of your arms. So each of the buttons is one of your limbs, and that's what drives all of your combos. Which is just to say, keep that in mind when you're spamming the buttons. Only 2 of them do kicks, and only 2 of them do punchies. Yep. Just keep that in mind. Okay, anyways, the story.
So the story.
What do you think?
Okay, so now we can talk about where you are.
Yes.
Okay, you are literally, I think, if you're just doing the Lars bit, like, you're almost there.
I figured I was almost there. But it was like 5:15 p.m. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I can make it.
I don't know if I can make it.
And unfortunately, I was really dogged about wanting to stay on hard mode for almost all of story mode. We'll talk about the one section that I turned it off because I was just annoyed.
I think I kept it on medium the whole time because I was honestly like, I'm not here as much for the story mode. It's more for the online like stuff like that I want to get to, but I want to be able to see what it's about.
Yeah, well, there's no real reason that I did it that way other than I figured this will be a great learning experience. I should grind it out in hard mode.
I probably should have done it in hard mode because it was a smidge on the easy side.
That's what I'm saying. It forced me to get good at Lars because he was the only character against True Devil Kazuya that I was like, I cannot smash my way through this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to actually learn a couple of combos with Lars to be able to get through these defenses.
Overall, I do feel like the story mode kind of lost me a little bit.
So first of all, let's talk about how story mode is laid out for the player,
sure.
which I think is really important because, again, there's been sort of story modes in past Tekken games, but they've never, at least to me, they've never really been like this.
Yeah.
Like story mode in Tekken 8 is, and I know I hate to use the word, but it's very cinematic. It's got a lot of cutscenes, a lot of dialogue, a lot of action between characters, and actually the cutscenes look really good.
They do look really good. Again, I will give this game the same praise I gave Mortal Kombat 1.
Yes.
It looks fantastic.
But it's told over the course of different chapters. Yep. So I think in chapter wise, I think the point I'm at is called like chapter 14 or 15.
And I want to say there's only 15 chapters.
Yeah, that sounds
so
about
you're
right.
like you're right there.
God damn it.
You really are right there.
I was so close to the end. Anyways, but each chapter, because this is something that I was a little bit worried about, each chapter to a certain extent focuses on a slightly different character. Now that's not exactly true because the first few chapters of the game are all about Jin and Kazuya just beating the crap out of each other.
It's like once the tournament is announced, then it branches into other characters.
Right. So the game starts out, or story mode starts out with Jin and Kazuya already in the midst of battle in, I think, Times Square in New York.
Yeah.
Is that where they are? Yeah. They're beating the shit out of each other in New York City. Buildings are taking a tumble. People are getting killed right, left, and center because Kazuya couldn't care less. So they're duking it out, and you play as Jin. So you're supposed to be the good guy, air quotes. So you're Jin. You're fighting off against your dad, and it is like waves of fighting against the opponent, but it's still in Tekken format.
Right.
So like Jin and Kazuya will duke it out, and then when you get Kazuya to 0 health, there's a little cutscene. And then everybody regains their health and you do it all over again. But something different has happened, like Kazuya activated Devil Mode, for example. And then maybe Jin activates Devil Mode. So it's an ever increasing, like the stakes are getting higher and higher as their battle gets worse and worse. Now eventually, at the end of that little intro chapter, Jin does lose.
Right.
So Kazuya activates Devil Mode, and he just wipes the floor with Jin, and then Jin is like sinking into the waters. What waters? It doesn't specify.
The waters of his mind.
Probably the Hudson Bay or whatever it is. He's sinking into the water, and his devil gene Get it? Devil Jin? Devil Gene. Anyways, his devil gene personified, which is basically just him but all deviled out, is like reaching out to him as he sinks into the waters, possibly dying or passing out, and he's like, fuck you.
He's floating. He's like,
no, man, I'm out. So he like rejects his devil nature, and as a result, when story mode really kicks off, Kazuya has declared war on the world. Jin has to team up with his allies, all of the other Tekken characters, and they have to go through this story of Jin basically getting his powers back.
Yeah.
Like, can he regain his devil powers? Is that what he should be working towards, or is there some other way that they can find a way to get a character powerful enough to actually defeat Kazuya?
Yeah.
Because as it stands, none of the other characters believe that anyone can take down Devil Kazuya. He's just way too powerful. So it's like, all right, well, his son can also become the devil. He's our only hope.
Right.
We've got to put all of our eggs in the Jin basket and just figure out how to get him back into fighting shape, literally, to defeat his father. But along the way, he has to team up with all of his allies, which are primarily Lars, Li Chaolan, Elisa, who's named Victor.
Victor.
Sadie Victor.
Asuka.
Asuka. Yeah, Asuka.
Sorry.
I mean, really kind of the gang's all here.
Yeah,
it's
everybody's
most
there.
of the roster. Not all, but most.
And that was kind of interesting to me too. Like, especially one thing that was a difference, a Mortal Kombat versus Tekken difference, is in the story mode even, you would still fight someone in rounds. I was surprised in Tekken that you literally do one round with them.
Yes.
Especially when it got into like the tournament part, you would literally choose your fighter, go against your opponent, you would fight them once, and it would move on to the next one. And I was like, wow, this feels like it moves so fast.
Yeah, I think they just kind of wanted to like get you through the story.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like with this one, I know that with these fighting games, the online portion is what you're really there for. I do feel like there was a little more to the Mortal Kombat story than the Tekken story.
See, I really appreciate that perspective because from my Tekken perspective of not having a lot of story mode in the past, other than, you just play as that character and you go through arcade mode.
Right.
Back in my day, it was called
there's arcade mode too still in this too.
But so that's just to say that, and again, this may have been in 7 and I just chose not to engage with it or I missed it. I truly don't recall. But this is really the first, at least for me, I look at Tekken 8's story and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much here.
Yeah.
Because to me, it felt so robust compared to past Tekken games.
Maybe it's...
But for you coming off of Mortal Kombat, I feel like that's a really valid critique.
And maybe it's because the jumping in point. Mortal Kombat 1 does act as like a timeline reset. I do have like I have more Mortal Kombat knowledge going in than I did going into Tekken. So I feel like maybe it was a little bit of, I'm lost here as to what's really going on with the story, because it does feel like you kind of need the background of the previous 7 games to know what's up. I was able to still like pick up and know what's going on and everything like that, but still just the overall, like, I don't know, like I feel like the Mortal Kombat did like the like twists, quote unquote, were a little bit better in Mortal Kombat, and like the story turns, like, and everything, like, not to be too spoilery there, but like at one point it kind of seems like maybe, is Shang Tsung even a bad guy really? And like, it's kind of like there's more to it than what meets the eye originally in the Mortal Kombat story. This one just kind of felt like, we're fighting. Father, son are fighting. I beat you. I got to get my devil back. Oh, there's a tournament that's called for some reason because he just wants to, some reason, like slowly drag out the destruction of Earth. Okay, cool. We'll do this tournament that literally takes like 2 minutes. You know what I mean? To like...
Not if you were on hard mode.
Okay, maybe
I had to practice a little bit.
But like, it still felt like this moment was like a really short.
Yes.
And then... okay, I'm gonna to like make this make sense. It has to like, I kind of have to like go into parts that you haven't. Oh no,
let's go full into spoilers. Nobody cares about the story. Well, people both do and don't care about the story. We care enough to talk about it. I want to talk about it.
Basically, my biggest complaint with the Tekken 8 story is that I felt like, as dumb as this sounds, it focused too much on Jin and Kazuya.
Interesting.
I'm here to about Tekken because I want the other characters to pull me in, and I want to get to know these characters.
Gotcha.
I felt like Mortal Kombat 1 did that a little bit more. It gave more incentive to all of these characters as to why they're here and what their purposes are and why they're involved in this story. Tekken 8, it felt like you got to the tournament, which I was like, here we go. Here's where I'm going to get to really learn about all these other different characters. And it literally just presents them as one-off quick fights.
Yeah.
It has a bracket system showing you, like, which I thought was cool, that you get to pick which one you fight as and who you fight against.
In Lily versus Asuka, who did you pick? You better not say Asuka.
I think I did Lily. I honestly don't remember.
I was about to have to unfriend you.
But this podcast is over. But that part felt so quick to me.
Oh, it was fast.
And then you're immediately back to fighting Kazuya again.
Yes.
Granted, as his devil form. So it's a little different than his first part.
Different characters.
And with different characters.
So the first part of story mode, you are largely playing as Jin for most of those encounters. And then sort of in the second half of story mode, you get to branch out to the other characters because Jin is temporarily incapacitated.
But you're still fighting Kazuya.
Yes. The end goal is the same.
And then we get, after a couple chapters of various characters fighting Kazuya, we get to the completely out of left field.
Yeah.
Like... domination mode,
so
third person, like
back in the day,
wave mode.
Yeah, I also really
where you
don't
just fought
know.
like unnamed enemies who just came at you, and you were as different characters on this battlefield. Yeah. Lars, a few other people,
Blade,
and you're
Lee,
and you just like fight against these unnamed opponents.
So.
In
Here's
just
the
like
thing.
wave-ish mode where just like they just come at you.
I am not saying this to justify that part of the story. That's actually the part where I switched it to medium.
Yeah.
Because it put me in there as Lars to fight against these mob people, and they could surround you really easily, which was where you got into trouble. And at the time, I was still really bad with Lars, and I was like, no.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do this. I'm putting it on medium. This is the point at which I will put it back to a reasonable difficulty.
Yeah.
But I think that is maybe meant to be a callback to another side mode called Tekken Force mode.
Okay.
So again, I want to say this was Tekken 3. It was either Tekken 3 or 4. had a special mode called Tekken Force mode. And I think you were Jin, and you were going through, and it was almost like, what's a good comparison? Almost like Streets of Rage. Yes,
Oh, okay.
that's the good comparison. Where it's kind of 2D side-scroller-esque, but there's a little bit of depth to it depending on where you're at. And you can get health along the way, but for the most part, your health bar is pretty precious. You have to hang on to your health very carefully while you fight your way through these little mob characters. And then eventually at the end of each level, for lack of a better term, you probably fight a boss and then you move on to the next level. That was Tekken Force mode. It was like a knockoff of Streets of Rage. I think this weird part of story mode was kind of meant to be like, hey, remember Tekken Force mode?
Yeah.
That used to be a thing. We'll put it back in here, but we'll make it fully, pseudo 3D this time around. And I was like, thank you, but I didn't enjoy Tekken Force mode because I was bad at it. So I don't enjoy this.
And it just felt like a weird random thing, which I appreciate that like Tekken has all these different modes and different game styles that you can try out.
It really threw a lot
But just
at you.
in the context of the story, I was just like, why is there this random wave challenge mode coming at me?
It was weird.
And so you do that for like a hot minute. You fight that. And then
You're back to Devil Cassia.
But yeah.
Yeah, you are. Literally.
But that's what I mean. And then this time back, at this point in the story, you're back as Jin. And this is where it gets back to the parts that you haven't got to yet, so I apologize. But you then just fight.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. You then just fight Kazuya
again
as Jin for like 10 more times.
Oh God, really? Oh no, that's good to know.
Like,
I might
granted,
have to
just like
Jin.
in the beginning, there are changes to it.
Yeah, the stakes raise.
The stakes raise and change as it goes on. But it was at that point, I was just like, this feels so repetitive.
I can understand
and
that.
I feel like I would have give me more time with one of these other fighters, figure out a way to change up the variety in some way. But it was literally just Jin fighting Kazuya for 10 more rounds.
That's good to know.
And I was just like, this
ain't it.
All of the basically it was all of the buildup that, even though yes, I didn't enjoy that wave mode as much, I still was okay, cool, this big epic battle between the forces of good and forces of evil. But then just to relegate it to how the game began, of Jin versus Kazuya, I was kind of this fell flat for me.
I get it.
So I won't go into details. So there will still be some things for you to discover as you're finishing out. But I was just kind of story mode, I'm good with. I did it and I'm done. And I don't necessarily feel the need to go back to it as much.
I have personally been enjoying story mode quite a bit, but I feel like so I'll explain why I like story mode so much.
Please fill us in.
So again, I have not been keeping up super well with the current state of Tekken lore. So there are a lot of things that I missed that I feel like probably weren't at least to this extent, weren't in the past games, and Tekken 8 just chose, I'll put it this way, I feel like Tekken 8 story mode made the fantastic decision, fantastic in my book, of taking the story and just full sending with the Kingdom Hearts 3, my friends are my power. That's literally what story mode was.
Nice.
Because every time Jin has a little hiccup along the way and he has to figure out how to get stronger and get his power back, and he's facing off against these other characters as friendly sparring matches to test his ability, those always end with those characters being
good job.
I can feel it in your fists, man. They say shit like that all the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're getting your heart back. And I'm like, oh my God, this is Kingdom Hearts.
I did appreciate, I will say, and I think that's maybe a little bit of it too, just with my unfamiliarity with the Tekken lore. It is, and that's why I say maybe this is where the Mortal Kombat one kind of took a step up, because it treated it like you could be a new player to this.
Yes.
Whereas
and Tekken really
did
does
not. Tekken's
no.
You haven't played the first 7 games? Fuck you. We're going on.
They're even side games. They're side games from the main 7.
So I just feel like there's a lot to pick up on. And I feel like they just really did not want to invest the time in the story mode to really get you. I know they had the recap videos, and there was even the one with like we said, Brian Cox. But it was just I'm still just I'm lost. And I don't really feel the need to go and figure it out. Character moments when certain characters who we won't say for just sake of spoiler, sacrifice themselves. I was kind of don't really care, because I I don't
really care.
know. I don't know
fine.
you.
But that's a
it's,
really
it's just things like that.
I mean, that's a really good criticism because thinking to a lot of the cutscenes in story mode, like for example, Jin and Warang, they're like rivals. They're like that is their dynamic, is their friendly, sort of not friendly rivals. And you really probably wouldn't have understood
pick up on that
any
at
of that backstory of like, oh, they actually kind of have an existing relationship from past games. The same goes for Asuka and Lily. I mean, their dialogue was a little bit more playfully banterish, so you may have picked up on that a little bit better. But like Elisa, the pink-haired robot girl, and Lee Chaolan, I'm pretty sure Lee made Elisa because he's like a robotics genius or whatever.
No idea.
So I'm very sorry if I'm wrong about that, but I feel like I looked it up once.
Yeah.
And the TLDR was that, oh yeah, she was made by Lee. She was made by whatever his
H-Core.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
It's probably close enough. So there's all kinds of stuff like that you would have totally not known about.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul and Law, they're like BFFs from back in the day.
I got
and
that
I feel
a little bit from the story.
But story mode still left out. I mean, it just can't really. It didn't have the ability or the time or the space to double back on all of that and bring new players up to speed.
Right.
So I can absolutely understand that criticism of if you haven't played the past games, you're fucking missing a lot of context.
You gotta do some homework.
You are missing some shit. I mean, one of my favorite characters is Zafina, but because I didn't have the DLC in Tekken 7, there was all kinds of Zafina shit that I missed out on.
Yeah.
Like her arm contains the original devil.
Right.
And I'm like, good to know. How'd she get that?
How do you just stumble upon this power?
Yeah, what'd you do to obtain this? I don't understand. And then it's story relevant in Tekken 8, and you're like, oh shit, okay, whatever. You just have to suspend a lot of disbelief to just like full send with the friendship,
right,
and just commit. And otherwise, you're probably gonna have at least a bad or potentially subpar time.
Oh, I mean, I still had fun. I wasn't like just sitting there going like, this fucking sucks. I only neared that in the final bits of the game where I was kind of like, okay, this is a little old. I'm kind of over this now. But overall, not story notwithstanding, like the online modes and overall of the game, I'm having a blast.
Yeah. Oh, we had so much fun in the tournament the other night. Just our little friendly tournament of this is a blast. And for the first time ever, I'm choosing to jump into ranked online matches, which is something I've never done on my own. I'm
doing it too
against randos, and it's like, and every now and then I win.
I know, I do too.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Good. It's like,
and then you see your Tekken prowess number go up.
It goes up, and you're like, oh.
I do love in the online ranked, it will show where your friends are in the ranking.
I actually hate that. I'm like,
really?
Fuck you, Jerrett.
I just figured out how to actually, because I was hashtag dumb and with it, and was just like, okay, I did a first match, and it wasn't when I was in online. It's just when you do a first online match, it does a placement match.
Yes.
And so I assumed that my Tekken prowess was going to go up even if I just did non-ranked online mode. It does not,
dear
listener.
No.
And so you have to only play in online mode. So we jumped onto on ranked mode. So we jumped into our tournament the other night, and everybody is like 30,000 Tekken prowess. I'm like, what the fuck? I've been playing.
Except you and me.
Why am I only 7,000?
It's like, okay, because we're not in ranked.
And then I was like, oh, that's why. So it made way more sense.
And am I mistaken? Does it change depending on which character?
Your prowess does not.
Not your total prowess, but your rank of
yes.
like first Dan,
fighter,
beginner, second Dan, fighter.
Yeah.
You have to rank those individually up for the character that you're playing at the time. So the only person that I've gotten to fighter so far is Lily, because she's also the only person I've bothered.
I only
to
have
play
Shaheen there.
Mode. Yeah.
I'll
catch
everybody
up
else.
to you.
We're close. I know everybody else can just go off on their own mode and be off in there. We'll stay around the same to keep each other humble.
Yeah. Also, maybe that's as far as we'll ever get.
Might be. Yeah, I think I was saying before we started recording that, I had to jump in the other day, and I did play Mortal Kombat's ranked mode a little bit, because I was like, oh, wait, this is actually fun, and I hadn't done it yet in Mortal Kombat, so I was like, oh, I got to go do this, to make sure I still remember how to play. But I did not anticipate wanting to spend time in the ranked modes, but I would definitely want to, because it just feels good. I haven't really come across anybody who's an ass. and like is saying shitty shit back in the chat or anything like that and making me feel bad for maybe not being too good.
I don't have chat turned on.
I know, I always turn it off too. With fighting, that's the thing. We had a little conversation about that in the Discord too, just like that. I don't need their feedback.
No, I don't need your salt.
I know when I'm doing bad and I know when I'm kicking your ass, and that's all that matters. You don't need
to tell me. I too saw the fight. I know what happened.
I was there. So it's a great time all around.
It is a good time all around. It's definitely the most fun I've had with a Tekken game probably ever, except for maybe like the early Tekken tag. I remember playing that to death with Bro Mogan and my friends. So now, I've got that nostalgia for it.
Is that coming to 8?
Probably
Tag?
No, because remember, Tag is probably totally separate thing.
Okay,
so think of it like a completely different game because
it is. Okay, so
but
not coming to Tekken.
I do really hope that eventually with one of the DLCs they do bring back Tekken Bowling, because I love Tekken Bowling.
That would be very
Everybody
fun.
loves
that
Tekken
would be
Bowling.
A crazy fun mode to jump into.
I'm very happy they brought back Tekken Ball, because Tekken Ball has been missing for a long time. Tekken Bowling did make it into DLC for Tekken 7.
Nice.
So I'm crossing my fingers, praying to God that we get Tekken Bowling as DLC, and then that we see just a bunch of classic fighters that are missing from Tekken 8.
Yeah,
I mean, there's Katarina, who I never engaged with in Tekken 7, but she was really popular. Michelle Chang's daughter, whose name I always forget. Julia Chang's missing. Eddie's missing. Christy's missing.
I don't even know who these people are.
Ganryu's missing. He's the sumo wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Ganryu's really fun. There's all kinds of people that are, that one really weird, gigantic Thai martial artist whose name I could not pronounce, and he was a DLC character, and I saw him once, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that guy is scary. So I never played against him, never wanted to know anything more about him. There are so many other side characters that can be brought back in Tekken 8, and some of them I would kill to see. Others, Bob. I am fine without. I hope Bob does not make it back in.
Hopefully he won't. Hopefully Bob will be kept on the sidelines.
Or worse, Gigas.
Gigas.
Let's pray to Christmas that Gigas doesn't make it back.
Gigas terrible?
But apparently so according to Bro Mogan, who was a Gigas main, apparently they melded certain moves that were unique to Gigas into new Jack 8, which is like Jack's been around for forever. This is just the latest version of Jack 8, but apparently he's got some of Gigas' moves now.
Cool.
So that makes me feel more confident that Gigas will not come back. Like maybe they really killed him off this time.
No Gigas 2024.
No Gigas 2024.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'm really excited to eventually. I'm not excited about spending more money on the season passes, but I'll do it.
I mean, hell, they go on sale pretty often.
I'll do it. I'll get the bonus passes.
There you go. Do it to it. But I think that's most of our thoughts. All of our thoughts.
To be fair, I feel like we have still just barely scratched the surface
First
of Tekken
impressions
8.
of Tekken 8.
But yeah, I mean, that's as much as we can really say about it, and with any coherence.
Yeah.
The rest of it all goes, it's the iceberg. It's that Tekken iceberg that we're like, sure.
Just the tip of it. The tip of it so far.
This is as much as we can do, and we're having a blast with it. That's the real final review, is we are both having a ton of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like this is the first game I got for PS5. Mm-hmm. I only got the PS5 to play Tekken 8, and I feel like that purchase was justified.
Oh, for sure.
I feel really good about it.
Yeah. And it's fun too, especially with like our community and stuff like that, with how many people are playing it and how like it became the thing of the year that we're doing. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been good. So with that, everybody, that does conclude our review of Tekken 8, and we give it the 2 thumbs up. But and so if you have been playing Tekken 8, we would also love to hear from you as well as your thoughts on the game. So send us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. Join our Discord, talk about it with us there. Comment below wherever you're listening to or watching the show. We would love to hear from you. But before we go to a little update, little producer error on my end. Forgot to hit up Kirok for his song before we started recording. It's a whoopsie on my part. So we'll get that for the next episode. But for today, we will leave you with a little bit of some of the banging Tekken 8 soundtrack to listen to.
Yeah, no hint. We're just going to give you some sweet Tekken music.
Some sweet music to listen to. It's crazy, just like the rest of the game is.
It is. We should do the one that sounds like the Nier soundtrack.
You're
that one.
Gonna have to tell me.
Don't worry, I'll send it to you.
Send me the link for it. But so anyway, as we go, everybody enjoy this bit of music from Tekken, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Peace out.